Hey, I'm ChristopherJMUA and welcome back to my channel. Unless you've never been here, of course, then welcome. I'm so glad you stopped by. We are here today to review the Midas Cosmetics X Smoky Glow Collaboration Palette. This palette is beautiful. If you haven't seen it online yet, you're in for a treat. Well, in my opinion, it's beautiful. Granted, this is like the 5th purpley toned eyeshadow palette I've reviewed in a row, but still, it's beautiful. I don't know what it is with me and purpley tones. I love them, you know? I'm just drawn to them. It's like a basic girl and her neutrals. I'm the classy boy with my purples. So if you're interested to see what's inside this palette, what the palette consists of, what it swatches like, what it performs like, the details behind it, and the details behind the rest of the collection as well, which I don't have, I'm just gonna be telling you about it, then stay exactly where you are, keep doing exactly what you're doing, and keep on watching. Okay, first and foremost, I have someone to introduce you to. Hi, friend! As Smoky Glow would say. So obviously this is Smoky Glow. She is a creator here on YouTube as well as Instagram, I think. I'll have to double check on Instagram, but I know she's on YouTube because I watched her release video. I actually didn't know who she was until this release was out. Then I was made aware of who she is because I watched her reveal video as well. I will also link her video down in the description box as well so that you can maybe see her perspective of it and get the information straight from the horse's mouth, if you will. However, I will be covering everything that she covers with the palette today, but she talks about the rest of the collection in full detail, and she has all of the products. I only have the palette. Thanks to the one and only Jen Gerard who sent it to me. Thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate it. Ever since I saw this palette for the first time, I was really excited to play with it, but unfortunately I was not able to get it on the initial release. Speaking of the initial release, this palette was available for pre-order on January 25th for select subscribers. If you had signed up through a link on her YouTube page, I think it was on Midas Cosmetics website, you were sent a code that let you purchase it, and they were doing that just to get an idea for how many purchases they were gonna have to know how much stock they needed. Then on January the 29th, that was their first initial launch. And then on February 14th, there's gonna be a new pre-order. Now this is because everything sold out within those first 2 releases. Congrats Smoky Glow and congrats Midas Cosmetics. That is awesome. In case you guys didn't know, I am an affiliate with Midas Cosmetics. However, this palette was not sent to me. It was not a PR palette. It just was gifted to me by Jen Gerard. Just so you're aware, who is the owner of Gerard Cosmetics. Just so you're aware. And then one last thing to note before we actually jump into the eyeshadow palette review, since we're dotting all our I's and crossing all of our T's, anything that you order from this collaboration once it does restock for the pre-launch, if you order anything else with it, those other items will not ship until the items from the Smoky Glow collab ship. So if you're wanting something else that is in stock, maybe place it in a separate order so that you can still get that in the normal shipping time. Then you'll get your Smoky Glow stuff within the pre-ship dates. Just want to let you know that. Smokey said it in her video. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew it because that's kind of important in my opinion. Anyway, now that we've covered all of the fine print, let's get into the palette details. So officially, this is the Midas Cosmetics Smoky Glow Collaboration Palette. It is $36 and contains 18 shades. I also got this little card with the palette. This is Smoky Glow's face, and then on the back it has a big long statement to the person who buys the palette. I'm not going to read it out loud because I feel like it's special for the people that are buying the palette. So whenever you buy it, you'll get one yourself and you can read it yourself. It also shows Smokey's YouTube and Instagram. I knew it. And it also tells a little bit about Midas Cosmetics, which I am going to read because in case you don't know about Midas Cosmetics, I'm an affiliate and I love the brand and I want to let you guys know. They say Midas Cosmetics is a cosmetic brand founded in 2018. The brand was created by Rocio Nunez, an Afro-Latina. As an Afro-Latina, it was hard for Rocio to find role models she could relate to. Because of this, Midas Cosmetics focuses on diversity and inclusion. Midas wants people of all skin tones and backgrounds to feel included, loved, and celebrated. And our quote for Midas is, "I am gold, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am unapologetically me." And then it also links the social media for Midas Cosmetics, and it has the hashtags that Midas Cosmetics use. That just warmed my heart so much because everything that Rocio Nunez stands for is what I stand for. Diversity and inclusivity is key. It is vital in the world today, and it is vital in the makeup community. I feel like brands should make sure that they're honoring and supporting people of all sex, gender, gender, age, race, identity, just everything. Whether you're blue, yellow, black, or gray, you're beautiful just the way you are. And that's what we promote here on my channel as well. Always remember and never forget, you're beautiful. And that's why I'm an affiliate with Midas Cosmetics. Now, let's get into the palette before I get any more emotional. Now, as you saw already, this is what the unit carton looks like. It's a light mauvey purpley tone. So that would make a really pretty eyeshadow just by itself. And it has reflective smoky glow and Midas Cosmetics on the top. Then on the back, it has the ingredients. It shows it's an 18 color eyeshadow palette, and it has some information at the bottom. Then if we slide the palette out of the sleeve, it's mostly the same color. It's more pink actually here. This is more mauvey purple. This is more pinky mauvey-ish, whatever. And it also has the reflective smoky glow. And then on the back, it just says Midas Cosmetics X Smoky Glow. Shows cruelty-free recyclable packaging. This is good for 24 months. And it has a little guy by a trash can that I'm not sure what it means. Then if we flip it back over and open it up, there should be a sleeve. There was, and it's gone. And that's what the palette looks like. Woo! Now when I got this one, this shade had actually broken, sadly. Oh, I just poked that maroon shade. This shade had broken in transit, but luckily it was a shimmer, so I could just pack it back together and it repacked just fine. I didn't have to spray with alcohol or anything. I just repacked it and it was okay. So now that we see what the palette looks like, you know we've got to swatch this beautiful thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom you guys in and we're gonna get started on swatches. Actually, wait, before I start swatches, I wanted to show you guys that there is a very big full-size mirror right in here. It's a really nice size and it's good quality. It doesn't have any warping or anything, but it also says hi friends right on the inside, which is what Smoky Glow always says whenever she introduces her videos. So that's really cute. So every time you look at the palette and you look at yourself, you see hi friends. I really like it. Anyway, now time for swatches. The first shade is Basic. Wow, that swatched really well. It went all the way down. Huh, okay. Next shade is Friends. Next is Jump Cut. Then Group Chat. Then we have Rose. Then Lino. The shade Nutty. Colleague. Warrior. Vote. Instagram model. Amazing. The shade Hello. Half Pony. A Rant. Cold Brew. The shade Content. And lastly, the shade Dofa. And that is the entire Midas Cosmetics X Smoky Glow eyeshadow palette. And you know, as always, I will insert photos of the swatches, one with flash here, and one without flash here. And here's our video close-up of all the swatches. This is a very multi-dimensional palette. It has quite a few different textures in it, and that's exciting. I like that. It makes it a little more workable, a little more varietic. It makes it have a little more variety. Wow, that is so cool. Oh, okay. Not that it matters, but that palette has swatched better than I think any palette I've ever used. Or at least it's been a really long while since I've swatched a palette that swatched that well. It was like every shade I went into, I needed to go into it once, except a couple of them. I think maybe Vote and Half Pony I had to go into twice, and I know one of them was right on my, like where my vein is right here, so whenever I went down, it of course couldn't smoothly go over the vein. But anyway, swatches don't matter. It's gonna depend on how it performs on the eye. I know that. So let's find out if it's going to. I'm gonna go ahead and prime my eye with the Gerard Cosmetics Blank Canvas Eyeshadow Base. I think I wanna do something out of character and go a little crazy. So I think I'm gonna do a pinky purple smoky look. Isn't that crazy and insane? You know I'm kidding, because that's what I always do. So with this being kind of a purpley mauve type tone palette, it's gonna be hard to break away from the normal tones that I love to go into. But since I've done like 5 purple palettes in a row, I actually am gonna try and stick with tones that I might not normally use. At least for the most part. So first, I'm gonna take my R37 big giant fluffy blending brush that I just love to start out with, and I'm gonna go into the shade Jump Cut. Now, as per usual, I'm sticking with pressing this down first instead of blending it out. I want to make sure that I completely build up the pigmentation and saturation of the color before I start blending out the edges, because I want it to be as vivid and robust as possible. And this is just usually the way that I feel like that can happen. I'm also going to start pressing this into the general shape that I want the shadow to have. I accidentally just pressed a little bit too high, like way up here. Don't know how that's gonna pan out later, but that's okay, because for now, I'm gonna kind of give it that lifted effect over on the outer edge, the way it looks kind of, and I'm also going to be pulling this out just a little bit to kind of give it a semi-wing type shape. I don't want to go too big with it, but I do want to make it sort of elongate my eye. I believe Jump Cut is now built up to what I want it to be, so I'm gonna take the Morphe M514 brush, little tiny blending brush, and go into the shade Cold Brew, and with this shade, I'm gonna start packing it right on the inner corner, or the inner crease area, and build it up there. I also forgot to mention, and was slightly surprised by it, the shade Jump Cut, when I was applying it, I didn't tap off the excess because I don't have foundation on today, so I'm not really worried about fallout. But I don't see any fallout from using that shade, and I packed it on pretty intense. And I was kind of surprised. I really expected some fallout. I mean, I was prepared for it. I was okay with it. But she didn't show up to the party. Fallout was not here. She stayed home tonight. Now, it turns out that Cold Brew is pretty much exactly my skin tone, so it's not really making too much of a difference on color. It's really just setting my base, and that is a little bit changing the look and what I was going for and the general direction that I was going for in the beginning, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. We can work with that. Now I am noticing that, I don't know why this does this so often, but this one spot right in my inner corner, whenever I start building up shadow there, it just peels up my base and it makes a patch. Or at least I think that's what's happening. It seems like every time I go in with my brush in that initial spot, maybe I go in too rough with it. Maybe I start tearing the base away. I don't know. Regardless, there's a patch there with that shade. I think it's my fault, not the shadow's fault, but just so you're aware. Now I'm gonna start taking the shade Cold Brew and trying to blend it up and over into Jump Cut. It should kind of start to mute the shade Jump Cut and turn it more into a peachy coral. That's really neat. That actually blended really well into Jump Cut. Wow, that's really pretty. I'm gonna use the R37 brush again with no new pigment, just what's already on the brush, and start at the outer corner and start blending this inwards as well. I think those are blended together pretty well. They're very soft, and I like how Cold Brew kind of toned down, Jump Cut. For what I think I'm going for in the end now, that's gonna work really well together, I'm hoping. I'm gonna now take the Morphe M506 little bitty tiny blending brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade Vote. Now with this shade, I'm starting to apply it on my lid, right at my crease. Well, essentially where my lid meets my crease, because I want it to be at the lowest possible point of my crease, and really just to be on the safe side, I'd rather put it on my crease and blend it upward than I would try to put it on my crease and blend it in small increments. And since this brush has a point, I can apply the color right onto my lid like so, and I can use the point of the brush to just slightly blend it upward. This is building up really nicely. I don't see any patches. It's blending into the other shades perfectly. There's literally no flaw in the blend that it has. It's transitioning between the shades nicely. It's a very soft, pretty brown. Like I could see this being applied just all over the crease and then throwing a shimmer on the lid and being done. If you were into that sort of thing. I'm not tonight, today, this morning, this evening, whatever time it is for you. That's what time I'm on right now. Now using the M514 brush that I used with Cold Brew again and just taking it on the edges of the shade Vote just to blend those out, make sure it's a fluffy blend and kind of blow it out a little bit if I can. Okay, there you have it, and that's the look all complete. Just kidding. Man, if I ever did a look only like this, somebody slap me or congratulate me. Now on the Luxie 213 eye shading brush, I'm gonna go into the shade Half Pony, and with this, I'm going to use it to start deepening up the outer crease area. I still wanna make sure that I keep the jump cut shade, the prominent shade, but I would like to make the crease more of a brown neutral type crease, blended out into that bright corally tone. Since these are colors that I don't normally work with, I figure I'm going to use techniques and kind of placement that I don't normally work with also, just cuz, you know, like why not? Doesn't hurt anything to try. Worst case, I can take it all off, erase this footage, and start all over again. Now I'm trying to keep this shade Half Pony very, very contained, just on the lower crease area. I really don't want it to go too high up and take over the look, but I also don't want you to not see it. I want to be able to open my eyes, look at you directly, and you still see the shade, because that's what makes my eye look bigger. And I do think that I am to that point now, actually. So at this point, I'm gonna take the R37 yet again, and I'm gonna just start using it in circular motions right where I applied the shade Jump Cut earlier and start pulling downward as I do. Since I don't want to bring the shade Half Pony up, I'm just gonna bring the shade Jump Cut down. The last thing I'm gonna do between these two shades is take a fluffy blending brush that doesn't have any pigment on it at all and just start going in circular motions again, just between these two and blending them even more into each other, just because I want to try and get the most seamless blend possible. You guys know at this point that I'm gonna blend until it looks great. Even if my arm falls off and I have to start again tomorrow, I'm gonna keep blending until it's blended. Or I'm gonna keep blending until I realize it's not gonna blend. Okay, now that those two are blended together, I'm gonna use the M507 brush again and go back into the shade Vote and just build that up a little bit more right in the inner corner area and pull it back into Half Pony, just so that it again has that perfect blend in between the two. I feel like we are now to a happy place whenever it comes to blending. You know, this is a really Valentine's-y type look. I didn't mean for it to be, I just kind of was rolling with the pretty colors, but that's where it's going, it seems like. I'm gonna just clean up the outer edge really quickly and kind of see just where I stand right now. Then I'm gonna figure out what I want to do next. This is so cool. I've never really done anything like this. I've never really created this shape on my eye either, and I gotta admit, I'm kinda really liking it. It makes me look like a diva. It looks like a butterfly wing. I don't know, it's very Valentine's-y though. Now, I think I'm gonna go a little ham with the shimmer shades because a few of them are calling my name, and I don't wanna just pick one, so I'm gonna start by using this Morphe flat, fluffy shading brush, I guess, if that's what you wanna call it. And I'm gonna go ahead and go into the shade Dofa. I think the story behind this shade is so funny. It's called Dofa because Smokey Glow used to call the applicators on like concealers and lipsticks, which are actually called Dofas, and ironically enough, I used to do the same thing. In my first couple of videos, I called Dofas, but I think I was unsure enough that I said it kind of in a way that you couldn't catch it, so I didn't get caught. It's just kind of funny that I'm not the only one, so I don't feel nearly as embarrassed about it as I would have normally, now that I know someone else has done the same thing. Now I'm just starting with this shade right on the outer corner. Since it's the deepest shade in the palette, or at least the deepest shimmer shade in the palette, I'm putting it right on the outer corner to add a little bit of dimension just to that side of my eye, just to that side of my lid, and also so it will tie Half Pony that's in my crease on the outer crease in in with the rest of the look before I go in with the lighter shades. Okay, so I think that's about good for that shade. I just want to put it in about a third of my lid. And then using the Morphe M209, also another fluffy shading brush, but it's more of a fluffier shading brush. I'm gonna use the shade Instagram Model and apply that all over the center of my lid. Now bear in mind, so far I haven't used any setting spray or my finger for any of these shimmer shades. So whatever reflect or potency that you see out of them currently, that's just a dry brush. Wow, that is beautiful. Whoa, that's like a skin tone reflection. That would be a stunning highlighter. I might actually use that as my highlighter today. That's gorgeous. Okay, well, that shade's applied. Whew. Now I'm gonna use this Morphe teeny tiny flat packing slash shader brush. And this time I'm going into the shade Errant. And I'm not tapping off any of the excess from any of these shades. There is a little bit of fallout, but it's nothing too crazy. Oh man, I should have cleaned off my inner corner before I applied this shade, because now since it's a shimmer, it's mixing with the matte and deepening because the matte that's underneath it is deeper than the shimmer. I'm gonna see if I can build it up and maybe combat that deeper shade. I just don't know if it's gonna work. So instead, I'm gonna try to go in with my sponge tip applicator. I'm gonna use just the teeny tiny pokey indie tip right there and still go into the shade Errant. And let's see if we can build this up to be what the shade actually is in the palette. Oh, okay, that worked. Wow, that really worked. When in doubt, use a sponge tip applicator. Never fails. With that one applied, I'm going back in with the Morphe M507, and I'm just gonna go right around the edges of Errant just to kind of clean it up and make sure that I didn't have any random shimmer pieces that were too far out from my lid. Wow, that's perfect. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm really excited. This is really neat. I'm gonna add just a little more dofa right here on the outer corner, and I'm gonna kind of pull it inward just a little bit on the lash line to make it more of an outer V shape, or a V shape. Then I'm gonna use that Luxie 213 brush that I used with the shade Half Pony and just clean up the outer edges of dofa and make sure that it doesn't go up too high or too far, or it's not too messy. And that's beautiful. Wow. I love how out here on the outer edge of the lid with the shade dofa, it has that slight purple reflect, so if I turn just right, you can see the purple, but otherwise it looks like a dark brown, so it looks like it fits perfectly with the coral. Again, I'm really excited about this. But for now, I am gonna take the Morphe M326. It's like a little tiny blending brush, but it's flat, so it's like shader. I don't really know. And I'm gonna go into the shade Basic with it, which is the pure white shade, and I'm going to be using this as my brow bone highlight. I thought a white shade would be something different that I don't normally do, and just kind of add a little bit of a highlight right up there. I don't know, it's just different. I thought it would be interesting to see the shade Jump Cut with white combined in it. The only problem I think I'm gonna have is that I took Cold Brew up all along the edges of Jump Cut to blend them out, and I'm afraid that Cold Brew is gonna end up blending with Basic, but it's okay. It's working so far. It's giving me a highlight, a white highlight. Okay, highlight is now done. I think that's looking pretty cool. I think it is looking really cool. I really like it. Okay, so at this point, we need to move on to the lower lash line. So I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate what I've done on this eye over to this eye and go ahead and do all of my face makeup. So my foundation, concealer, bronzer, etc, etc. And then once I finish all of that, I will come back and we'll finish off the eye look, and I'll give my final thoughts on the Midas Cosmetics X Smoky Glow palette. So I will see you in about half a millisecond. Now we're back. Everything is done, all of the face makeup. The lips are completed as well. I also put some eyeliner on. I also put a little red wing on the eye. I thought it was a nice little touch. It did, however, make this coral color look really red. I mean, we can see that the shade Jump Cut right there is definitely not a red, but it's like the moment I put that red liner on, it just turned into a red look. I don't know how it happened. It's just a really funny optical illusion. Because if I cover this up, up? Does that look more corally? Because I think it does. Then we're back to red. Corally, red, corally, red. Anyway, the look is pretty. I really like it. I just didn't expect it to change colors, essentially. So now we need to fix the lower lash line because it feels slightly naked. I have no lashes or mascara on, as you can probably tell, but I do have eyeliner on. I used my Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On eyeliner in the shade Whiskey. And by the way, I used the Colourpop cream gel liner in the shade Venus for the wing. And I love this liner. This is the first time that I've used the red liner. This stuff is awesome. And I also set that liner with the shade Warrior from the palette, which also kind of helped make the wings pop a little bit more. The red from the Colourpop is obviously a very vibrant red, as it is anyway, but setting it with Warrior, since Warrior is more of like a, almost like an orange based red, it kind of pops a little bit more, so it helped with the liner. Anyway, I digress. Now we need to fix this lower lash line. Now I'm gonna take this little tiny detail Morphe blending brush, and I think I'm still gonna go into the shade Jump Cut. I feel like I wanna tie back in the coral shade into this look because I really feel like I've lost the coral shade. I feel like it's just gone now. So I wanna see if I can bring it back just a little bit onto the lower lash line. Just gonna start on the outer edge. Start pulling it inward. Jump Cut is now built up. Does it look like a red to you or does it look like a coral to you? It looks like a red to me. Now that it's added into this look and it goes by the red liner, it looks like a red again. That's so funny. I didn't mean for that to happen, but I'm not necessarily complaining because it's still a pretty look. I'm still really liking it, so that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Now I really want to smoke this out, so I'm gonna go in with the JS6, which is like a more flat blending brush. It kind of resembles the Morphe M433, but I think it's tapered a little bit more, possibly. I don't know. It kind of resembles. But I'm gonna smoke out Jump Cut with the shade Vote. Gotta say, those smoked out quite beautifully. I love that I still have kind of the red tone going on, but I also love that I have the shade Vote that's down there that kind of still blended it out and tied the lid area and the crease area to the lower lash line. They're a happy family. And now that lower lash line is done, it's time to move on to lashes. And I think that's gonna be the entirety of the look. So I will go ahead and get my lashes applied and done. And once I do, I'll be right back to give my final thoughts on the Midas Cosmetics X Smoky Glow Collaboration Palette. Okay, lashes are done. And I'm feeling like a bad if I do say so myself. These lashes are so bougie and I love them. They're like really big, kind of draggy, a little wispy, but like still cute. As long as I close my eyes, you can see my eyeshadow work. But like this. Oh, ooh, ooh, so pretty. Okay, so all in all, the Midas Cosmetics X Smoky Glow Collaboration Palette gets a recommend from me. I really like it. I wish that I could have tried the rest of the collection because if the palette is this good, I know the rest of the collection has to be bomb. Alas, I do not know, I will not know unless I can buy it way later. But during the time of this review, I obviously do not have it. But I do gotta say that I really like this palette. I like that I could keep myself away from the pink and purple look. Even though this was primarily a pink and purple palette, I could still go away from it. I made a very neutral brown, very pretty shimmery lid with a deeper brown crease, and then I had some coral and red on the outside. There's so many different directions you can take this palette. I mean, you can see it right here. You can stick with just the coral, you can go more hot pink, you can go more magenta, you can go more red, you can go more purple. You can even add a little bit of blue with the blue reflect on here. Plus, there's a white. You could literally do so many things with this. Neutral, colorful, whatever. You can do whatever you want. And that's what makes me like it the most. And I think the next thing that makes me really like it is its quality. I mean, look at this. This went on so pigmented and it blended so smoothly. I didn't have any issues blending it. And in case you didn't catch it, this is actually the second time I did this eye look because the first time, whenever I said I was gonna go off camera and film the rest, I went off camera, I did the second eye off camera, and then I got really tired and I had to go to sleep. So then I came back and I did both eyes again, and all 3 times, well 4 if I count it by doing it each eye, but either way, as many times as I did it, the shadow performed perfectly, seamlessly, and consistently every time. I think that's the most important part, the consistently part, because there's a lot of times that you start going in with shadows after a few times and they start performing differently because you've gone into the pan, like you've broken past the surface level, and that didn't happen at all. All the shimmers worked perfectly. I was able to build them up and stack them without even wetting the brush. Now on the inner corner, I did use my my sponge tip applicator so that I could get it most saturated right in the inner corner, but I do that pretty much all the time. And I think this went really well all in all. I forgot to do my lower lashes. Oh no! Okay, now my lower lashes are done. But with all that being said, I want to know the most important thing. What do you guys think? Do you like the palette? Do you think you'd use it? Now that you know it's not simply just a purple palette, do you think you would use it even more and enjoy it even more? Or did you hope it was gonna be a purple palette? Please let me know in the comments down below. You know that I love to talk to you guys. I think I've responded to every single comment that I've gotten ever since my first video, or I've at least hearted every single comment. Not that I'll be able to do that for forever, because it's already getting really difficult, but just letting you know that I appreciate you, and I do try to read the comments and keep up with the comments. It would also mean the world to me if you'd give me a thumbs up, because it lets me know that you like my content. It also lets others know that you like my content. So if somebody else sees my video and they see that you gave me a thumbs up, they're like, oh, I know her. She gave him a thumbs up. That means I'm gonna like that video too. And then they watch it. You see how that works? And who knows, they might even subscribe. Speaking of subscribing and following and stuff like that, if you want to see this look and more looks like them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. My username is the same for everything. It's just ChristopherJMUA. And if you gain nothing out of this video, if you gain nothing out of any of my videos, please at least gain this. And that is to always remember and never forget that you are absolutely beautiful. And I love you guys. Bye.